Alright, welcome back to Shem's Universe. So today guys, we're going to discuss chapter 2 of The Magic of Thinking Big by David J. Schwartz. So I'm on a balcony today guys, so don't mind the background noise, sorry about that. I just had to get some outside air and we're going to make this video while I'm here. So I took some notes on my phone, just because I want to make sure that you guys don't necessarily need to read books if you guys are watching my channel. My whole goal is to make sure that I'm summarizing the books in a good enough way where you feel that you don't need to actually read the whole chapter in order to get the lessons from it. Alright, so if you guys have any disagreements with what I'm saying, please leave in the comments for me as well. I'd love to hear your feedback on that as well. Just in case I'm not adding enough detail, if you guys want antidotes or examples, I'll definitely put those in there. But I'm running today just straight facts. I don't have time for stories, examples. I'm just doing exactly what the lessons are throughout each chapter, and I'm just going to go from there unless I hear otherwise. So please communicate with me and then I'll do something different. So for the magic of thinking big, this chapter is about how to escape from failure that's caused by excuses. So my title will be something very similar to that, meaning how to get away from excuses. So he discusses the 4 main excuses in this chapter that I think can help pretty much anybody that has an excuse for why they didn't do something or why they didn't hit a financial goal. The first one is, but my health isn't good. He gives the example of that. The remedy, he says, is to refuse to talk about your health. So that's number 1. Meaning, I had chronic pain in my neck for the past, I think, 2 years. And I did bring it up, but the moment I got more busy, the moment I started doing this YouTube, the moment I started working out more and just working harder and focusing on other business ventures, my pain went away. And the reason why it went away is because I refused to acknowledge it. I refused to actually look at it like a hamperment to me. I was like, I'm not going to let this hamper me, I'll let it motivate me. But I woke up in pain, I'm like, okay, if I have to go to work each day, then I have to keep going to work in pain. If I start my own businesses, then I can just not do that anymore. So my whole point to this is you need to follow your spiritual path, but in the book he's also saying follow your mental path. Follow where your mental frequency is bringing you. If your mental frequency is bringing you to a point where you're saying you're in pain, figure out why you're in pain, implement a cure, but don't talk about it with anybody. Don't expect sympathy, and don't even pity yourself. Just acknowledge it for what it is and overcome it. The next one he says, be genuinely grateful for the health as good as it is. A lot of us have ailments and injuries and so forth that are not really going to result in anything that major. They're not permanent. They're not going to cause death. And you got to be grateful for life is life. Without bad, there's no good. Without good, there's no bad. We're living in a dual universe, meaning if you have an injury, that means you can experience good health as well. You have to appreciate those things. When you have good health, appreciate it. When you're not sick, appreciate it. There's people out there with cancer, with other diseases that are far worse than what you may or may not have. I'm not trying to say that your injury or whatever you may have is not lethal or not hindering you in any way. But what you have to understand is David J. Schwartz, as this written in the 1950s, he's saying the same thing as people are saying now. Understand your injury. Understand that in your mind you can overcome anything. And adapt to your injury. Adapt to whatever it is that you may have and overcome it. Like I said, I've used this book, I briefly read it over, like I said in the last video, a few times, and it did help me overcome even my own injury. Thinking Grow Rich definitely did, but this book is second on the list. It more than helped me out in regards to building confidence and finding purpose. Alright? So he said, be genuinely grateful for what you have. Remind yourself it's better to wear out than rust out. Meaning it's better to work yourself out. Work till you're literally on the deathbed. Work hard. If you haven't noticed, people that retire end up dying in a few years. That's for a good reason. We all hate our jobs. We all hate working. Blah blah blah. It's a brain mechanism to sustain, keeping alive instead of sustaining taking risks. And the thing about it is, if you sustain just keeping alive, you're always on survival mode. You're going to avoid every single risk. Meaning, invest in this business and it's going to make you $1,000 today. Most people be they're going to worry about the $1,000 they have to spend to gain 1,000 instead of actually worrying about what they can gain. You're not thinking about it that way. So what he's saying is, if you grind, hustle harder, you're going to end up making a lot more of yourself in comparison to just not doing anything, just worrying about whatever ailment you may have. When you work hard, your mind generally is just going to have thought patterns that generate into that purpose. If your purpose is just thinking about what your ailment is, your mind's just going to go towards that. So you got to overcome it by thinking in different ways, and by keeping yourself busy is the best way to do that. If you're always involved in some sort of action, some sort of action towards your purpose. You don't have time to think about that injury or that sickness that you may have. Alright? So that was his remedies for the first excuse that he's calling it, for the excuses for failure. My health isn't good. The next one now is, he says, quote unquote, but you've got to have brain to succeed. So what that means in slang terms of the 50s is if you don't have a high IQ, you're not going to make it. His remedy for it was never underestimate your own intelligence and never overestimate the intelligence of others. Meaning, a lot of us, they say about 98% of people overestimate other people's intelligence and underestimate their own intelligence. It's a very, very core belief, and this is something that you're going to have to dig deep and find it within yourself. Like I found it particularly with probably smoking weed with some friends, where you end up doing something that makes you lose the ego for a second and actually dig deeper into yourself and see, what am I lacking? Or why am I doing what I'm doing? Is it because of a lack of confidence, because of a lack of belief? Do I view myself as inadequate? And these are hard questions to ask when you're just full of ego and full of people around you that you want to be validated by. This may be a conversation you have to have with yourself, but it may be the most beneficial conversation in regards to finding a purpose and even finding maybe a career for yourself. So I definitely agree with Schwartz on that. He also says, remind yourself intelligence is not more important than attitude. Meaning your attitude is more important than your intelligence. If you have an attitude of having a growth mindset of always learning and adapting and using new things or new methods, you're going to end up getting new results. If you view your old thought patterns as the valid ones, you're gonna have your life in that reality. If you switch it to something different, then your reality is going to change because your thoughts and actions are going to change alongside. So that's the summarize for that. The next one he says for a remedy for this is the ability to think is a lot more important than the ability to memorize facts. A lot of us, especially in school, are just taught to memorize, do a test, and regurgitate exactly what we were told through the lessons for the last month of the curriculum. If you can think beyond that, think outside the box, think about when you go to a Tim Hortons. How much is the coffee? How much is the donut that I'm paying for? Why am I paying this price? Can I start a business that undermines Tim Hortons and I can make a franchise? Nobody is really thinking about that. 90% of people are not thinking in that sort of thought context. They're thinking in matters of just consumer, not growth. If you don't view your intelligence as a handicap, it'll become your ally. Because you're going to look at it like, I can learn anything, and in turn I can do anything. But most of us live with an intelligence handicap saying, I am not smart enough for X, Y, Z, and in turn we don't achieve X, Y, Z, and we live miserable lives. Alright? It's really as simple as that. Next one is the luck excuse. This is very, very popular in this day and age. Especially with the stuff that I do, I find that people will comment and say their life isn't that good, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, life can be difficult for sure. Life is definitely not fair. And there is lucky people out there, but the next one is all about luck being an excuse. The remedy for it is simple. Accept the law of cause and effect. If you do something, this will be the effect. If I do 200 push-ups a day, my chest and abs and my shoulders are going to get bigger, and I'm going to fill up this jacket more so I look and stay like how I am now. If I drink 4 liters of water a day, I'm going to feel healthier, and my organs are going to be healthier than what they are right now. These are the things that we have to acknowledge and understand, that we are making our own reality. And we can look at it as luck, like yes, somebody like a Kim Kardashian or a Kylie Jenner or a Donald Trump, they were born to rich families, yes, but they have their own responsibilities. Grass may look greener, but it might not be as well. We don't know what they're going through on their personal day-to-day lives. Rothschilds, everything is the same thing. If you look at luck as just something that's manufactured by what you cause each day, you'll start looking at it in a very different perspective. Instead of looking at it from a supernatural effect, bring it back to realities, the physical realm, no matter what religion you're in. And you can pray, you can do what you have to do, but look at it in a sense that, all right, what I do each day is going to have an effect on how each day goes. If I work harder, then after 3 months, I'm going to have more money. If I work out harder, then after 3-4 months, or maybe in a year, I'm going to have abs and I'm going to have a big chest. If I do a lot of squats every day as a girl, I may blah, blah, blah. The next remedy he discusses for the luck excuse is just don't be a wishful thinker. Meaning, like, don't be somebody who says, I'm just going to blow out a mountain, it's going to move, it's going to move. I always say thoughts can move mountains, blah, blah, blah. Sure, that's true, yeah. But you need to manufacture dreams into reality. Your dream is your vision. Your dream is what's been incubated into you that you view as your ideal of success. Every single day should be bringing you one step closer to that success. You have to decide what you're going to do each day to get to that level. If you don't know what your purpose is, then you have nothing to reach towards. So being a wishful thinker It's very self-explanatory. Don't just expect success with no vision, and don't expect the idealization of that vision without the action being taken every single day. You gotta have discipline to get the vision, and you gotta have a vision to have discipline. It goes hand in hand. When these things come, you're gonna get two things: competence and confidence. And confidence is gonna come from doing day-to-day habits and routines that lead to you having muscle memory of being successful at doing things. And the confidence comes from doing those things each and every day, so you have discipline. Disciplined people can never not be confident. They're used to consistency, they're used to hard work. Their brain gets used to that, and in turn, they end up becoming successful. The last one is very short. It's the age excuse. You get people that say, oh, I'm too young for this, or I'm too old for this. I had a friend that went to politics at 20 years old. He wanted to go for mayor of my city, and he lost, but he didn't lose by much, and he won in certain regions. What's important about it is he took that as, okay, I learned from this adversity. I learned that I didn't sell enough to these people in order for them to all vote for me. But I was close to people that are 40 years older than me, which shows you that in the next 5 to 10 years, this same guy can easily become the mayor of my city at the age of 25 to 26. It's going to be nothing for him because he's already experienced things at a young age. A lot of us detour from things at a young age because we do it as too much, or we're not mature enough yet, or whatever the societal norm says. The same thing goes for old age. With old age, you have wisdom, you have understanding, you have experience. So there's nothing that you can't do at old age at all. You can go back to school, you can start a new career, you can start bodybuilding, you can start anything. As long as you're able to put your mind and attitude into that purpose. The key here is to find a purpose and not accept any excuses for not reaching that set purpose. He gave 4 prime examples, now I'm giving you the 5th one. There is no excuse that's valid for you. There is no excuse that will ever allow you to say, I cannot do X, Y, Z. Always be able to do X, Y, and Z regardless of what's in your way and overcome every single obstacle. Alright? So that's the whole summation for the chapter 2 of Magical Thinking Big. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, all that. That's it.